And you can put the stupid sign up. You can put the stupid sign up, Donnie.
Yeah, that's what you're doing here for sure.
Hello world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, Donnie, DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nawara. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only. Like the greatest quarterback in the National Football League, despite being 25th in composite score, 22nd in EPA per play, 25th in success rate, and 23rd in EPA. Or QBR, excuse me. Bo Nix, of course, quarterbacking the Denver Broncos tonight on Thursday Night Football. It is a consensus pick. I did try to prod these fellas to hashtag talk about it, but we didn't talk about it. Brett was all about it. Brett was ready to just fire.
We still have time to talk about it. I mean, we could get it in. We've got an hour, right?
We could have a mid-show selection. I mean, usually runtime in the show is about an hour, so we could get to a point where maybe we just slam the alarm and Donnie's just quickly with his thumb trying to submit this to Circa. Mo's in a car phone right now, 1990s sports radio style, somewhere in something western Wyoming. And Mo, I bet the scenes are electric as you drive through.
Picture that scene from Fargo where they're digging out the suitcase, or digging in the suitcase, I think is what they're doing. It looks exactly like that, only a little bit less snow.
Well, thankfully there's less snow. We're hoping that you drive safe. 2 and 10 all the way back to Omaha. Although I thought it was a quick 30-minute drive from Vegas to Omaha, but I guess I am mistaken. Mo cashing in the WPT World Championship. The entire world got to watch him for a few hands on the feature table until those idiots at WPT broke it. It was a great table too, not just because our guy, the Moose, was there. You had Calvin Anderson, who unfortunately was abusing our guy a little bit because he is a sicko. You had Maurice Hawkins, who, love him or hate him, makes for entertaining content. So,
bro, can I tell a quick story?
Go for it. Floor is yours. We're getting our asses kicked, so all stories are welcomed right now.
They definitely should have left us on the feature just for this one exchange. The poker Twitter would have exploded if this would have happened on the feature table. You had Maurice Hawkins just backdoor the nuts and 2x pot river against Cal. Cal tanks for like 3 minutes. I know Maurice has the nuts. I'm praying he clicks fold. No, he calls. Maurice has the nuts. He stands up, reaches all the way across the table, slams the cards down in front of Cal, and then, like, an hour later, Cal gets massive value on the river, raising with 2 pair against the block. Maurice shows his kings, and Cal had sucked out with 8-7 suited. He showed his hand normally, and then after he gets pushed the pot, he grabs his cards, reaches over in front of Maurice, and slams them down, dude.
Yes.
It was tremendous.
That's awesome. See? Come on, it was so obvious that fireworks were coming at this table. Unfortunately, no fireworks for the collective. 1 and 4 last week. And unfortunately, because we went 2 and 3 the week prior when a quarter started, we're the Jets. We can't even tank correctly to try and win the booby prize. So we're just going to do our best. I mean, this has been truly the season from hell. I was giving these guys some stats earlier today when I was updating all my Google Sheets. The collective pick is 4 and 11 this year. We've only been under 500 with the collective pick, I believe, twice all time when I was looking at it. This is trending towards the worst season ever for that category. So yeah, just a brutal season, which I want to say I can't wait is in the rear view, but I'm looking at these playoffs coming up, and I think there's going to be some really interesting betting opportunities, and the field is starting to even out with this Patrick Mahomes injury even though we know he's Superman and we know he's played successfully with the ankle injury previously, this is always something that can linger. You've got all the injuries with the Lions now, which have brought them back down to earth, making the NFC a little bit more open. Saquon Barkley has been dealing with an injury. Hashtag do running backs matter? So I think an interesting playoffs that I can't wait to get to. But yeah, these last couple of weeks where it seems like all these divisions are somewhat decided too. The NFC North, a little bit different. NFC West is a little interesting now with the Hawks and Rams, but a lot of these positions have been decided. And speaking of Patrick Lavon Mahomes II, a.k.a. Canton, the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Houston Texans. And I am very surprised to see that I have the highest opinion on this game. It is not a strong one because this is not in my top 5. It is a soft bubble, though. And I am taking the 3.5 points with the Houston Texans. If you were betting real American dollars in real life, you had a chance this week to get the Chiefs as high as plus 2.5 when it looked like Carson Wentz was going to be under center. But Mahomes will be at quarterback for Kansas City. So this has flown back in the other direction. 3.5 in the contest. I'm seeing the same in real life. It is a 0.5 point off of the look ahead, which was 4. So a little shade because of the injury, but not enough to get to that extremely valuable key number that is 3. My biggest thing here is that the Texans defense is just a completely different unit when their defensive line is fully healthy. They went through a little bit of a lull there in the middle of the season when the injury occurred against the Jets, and then in their subsequent games when they couldn't get their pass rush going. But with the return of Will Anderson, they were able to play their game and play a much more stout version of the defense that they intend to, and the numbers have borne that out. They are number 1 in DVOA on both passing and rushing in defense. And when it comes to EPA, they are 2nd against the pass and 6th against the run. They are a very stout unit. And in a game with a 41.5 point total with freezing temperatures, 3.5 points is extremely valuable, especially when the quarterback on the other side is hobbled. So that is why I'm taking the Texans in this spot. Mo, you too have Houston against your beloved Canton. Although you were all about Wentz at the beginning of the week, what you got here in this game?
Yeah, I think we just want to tell the people that I think we're all sad that it wasn't Wentz. At least I'm guessing we are. I know you and I are, Rich.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're excited to take the points here. That line was disrespectful, so congratulations to anybody who got that. Yeah, I mean, I just, like you said, I kind of expect a defensive struggle here. I'm not confident the Chiefs can pull away, even though I'm very unexcited about this Texans offense. We saw, Mahomes it wasn't just the injury. I mean, he got hit like 15 times last week by the Browns. I mean, they have a similar pass rush to what Houston's bringing to the table. So I'm scared of what this line is going to do for the Chiefs against a very strong pass rush. But again, I also don't trust the Texans offense, at all. So, the Chiefs do have Trent McDuffie, so they have somebody who can at least stay with Nico Collins. It's the secondary weapons that often burn the Chiefs, with these backup DBs and the linebackers not being able to cover tight ends. I'm not really worried about that with Houston. So I just think, this is going to be a close one, and I'm guessing it's another Chiefs win and no cover, but, one where I just would be anticipating not a lot of points scored.
Mahomes not the only interesting injury when it comes to the Chiefs. Hollywood Brown trending towards playing his first game of the season, injecting some life into this Kansas City wide receiver room. But on the other side, DJ Humphries, it turns out coming off the couch and just trying to play pro football might not be the best thing. My guy has the hamstring injury that he is still dealing with, making that left tackle position a continuous revolving door for Kansas City. Brett, you have the highest opinion on the Chiefs, so let's put a pin on this contest.
Yeah, this offense is going to look more like it was supposed to coming into the year with Hollywood Brown coming back. I don't think the Texans are very good. This offense stinks. I don't think it's Stroud's fault, even though he has done several stupid things in the pocket this season, but a lot of it's scheme. really, this just comes down to coaching for me. Slowick against Spags is a massive mismatch. I can see Stroud getting eaten up, taking a lot of sacks, and not getting enough time to hit Nico and Tank Dell on splash plays that they really are going to need to beat this defense. So that's where I sit on it. I'm really curious to see what people do with this in the contest, though, with Mahomes playing. I honestly don't know how to cap that as far as leverage goes.
Next game, Bucs at Cowboys. The Cowboys are 3.5-point home dogs. Let's get DP involved because he's got the highest opinion on this game with the home team, Dallas Cowboys, in his top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I approach this week like I've been approaching many of the recent weeks, and that's kind of leverage first. I think everyone's off the Cowboys. I'm not willing to be off them yet. I mean, I don't know. Everyone I've heard this week, everything I've read, talking to people in real life who are betting stuff, they all seem to think that the Bucs are the obvious side here. And I mean, the Bucs, I think, can get a letdown. If Dallas can muster up any sort of a pass rush, I think that puts Baker into somewhat of an iffy situation. I know he's thrived plenty this season, but I think if you can get after Baker, and we've seen it plenty of times, not even this season, but over his career, really, you can just really hinder what he does, right? And this Bucs offense looks like it does well a lot of times, but I would say that a lot of times when Baker's cooking, when this offense is moving the ball at will, it's because the other team doesn't generate any sort of a pass rush. Not that Dallas's defense is, of course, like the Chiefs defense or Minnesota's defense or whatever it may be, but I think they have enough up front to put Baker in some questionable pockets, and then therefore, I think they can move the ball. If Dallas can, I mean, the Bucs defense, I think, is average-ish, so I think they can keep this one close, right? I mean, I think there's also I don't know, I get a sense of no quit from the Cowboy side of things, and I think we talk about it a lot. You get into these later weeks of the season, and it's easy to say, this team is quit or this team is 1-2-3 Cancun or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, like, we know that these guys are playing for contracts, they're playing for bonuses, incentives, pride, whatever it may be. Like, they're not just going to go out there and give up. So, I'm going to back the Cowboys here.
Great effort last week. Straight up just a better football team than Carolina was in that contest. Bucs injuries, a little interesting when it comes to the pass catcher situation. Cade Otton has missed twice this week with a knee injury. Sterling Shepard missed Wednesday but came back here on Thursday. And then, of course, in the backfield, Bucky Irving, he's just going to deal with that back for the rest of the season. It's not going to really get right until he gets the offseason to rehab it. So in order to cover 3.5 on the road, you need to score and extend leads. And the Bucs might be a little hurt. That said, I did click Tampa here because I think the best coach in this game is Liam Cohen. The guy has just been cooking this year, and I think Baker is just capable, even with his weapons not being at full strength, of doing it, especially in a dome where conditions are just going to be perfect for this offense, as long as they can protect, like you said, DP. Which is a bit worrisome. This is an average offensive line, I think 17th in adjusted sack rate, and there are some very good pieces on the other side that can deter the offense. Mo, you're a tick higher than me. You had the Bucs bubbling your top 5, giving them confidence points, though.
Yeah, it's like you said, Liam Cohen. You have an offensive coordinator whose best days have come within the last decade against a dinosaur of a defensive coach. You have what I assume to be Tristan Wirfs out there to help neutralize Micah Parsons. A Dallas defense that has lost some pieces in recent weeks. I don't know who's all going to be on the field for them. And at this point, I'm just assuming these Tampa Bay injuries reports are all going to be basically these guys are playing most likely. So I'm penciling those guys in. Jalen McMillan has kind of emerged as a legitimate WR2, so they have a wealth of weapons to attack this Dallas defense with. And, I just feel like their offense is going to cook, and I think it's going to do enough. They've been running up some decent scores on the softer defenses. I think Dallas qualifies. So it's basically just a question of can they contain CeeDee Lamb enough to cover this number. I think so. I had this a bit higher than 3.5. So I don't know. I'm considering betting the Bucs, but I don't know if I can quite get there on an actual wager. But I do think this line maybe is a tad too short.
Let's go to Brett's backyard.
The Bills make me wanna shout,
where I am joining 83% of the ticket holders in backing the Buffalo Bills minus 14 in this spot. And I think the entire cap comes down to this question, you guys. What color are Drake May's hands going to be when the contest begins? Because I am seeing a predicted game time temperature of 11 degrees. And we've got Drake May, a Charlotte, North Carolina guy who's probably only seen cold weather for 6 weeks of the year his entire life, now having to throw footballs at a professional level at well below freezing temperatures against this Bills unit. And I don't think that's going to end very well. Especially, I think this is the type of offensive line where the Bills can absolutely eat as well. Some of their pass rush deficiencies have shown these last couple of weeks. 17th in pressure rate, 21st in adjusted sack rate. But this Patriots offensive line is just so dreadful. And can't the Bills just like score by accident against this Patriots defense too? Like I said it last week. When the game started against the Cardinals had a 30 next to their name. This Patriots defense, every time they play any team that has any semblance of an offense, 30 points is the stone minimum. And this is a Bills team that is going out and scoring 40 every single week. So what are they going to score? And can the Patriots come even close to matching that in these types of conditions? I don't think they can. I've got the Bills in my top 5. I don't think people are going to click minus 14. Maybe they will. But I think this is an absolute beatdown from Buffalo. Even if it's by mistake, even if they get into garbage time and they just are turning and handing. Because, like, why can't Ray Davis come in and just run for 100 yards in the second half against this team? DP, you've got the blinders on. You're on the Pats. You've got them low, but you've got the highest opinion on them.
I mean, it's just too many points against a Bills defense that I think can get had to the point that you can keep this within 2 touchdowns. I mean, I'm confident in Drake May. I don't think I'm as worried about the cold as you are. I think the guy is ultimately just a gamer at the end of the day, and I don't think it's going to affect him too much. Speaking from the heart, I hope the Bills win by 80 so they can fire this stupid-ass coach and get him out of there. But other than that, I'm taking the Patriots in the points.
Brett, what's the motivation here? Are you worried that they're just going to sit on the ball and not cover this number?
Well, I mean, historically, games in these temps have lower scoring opportunities, and I don't think I want to lay 2 touchdowns into those trends that actually have merit. But you're right; it could very well be a whitewash against a team that is. What's their record now? They have 3 or 4 wins. They just want to get off the field, into the locker room, and to the airport as quickly as possible. So who knows? I wanted nothing to do with this game.
Next split game is a game that I think the entire public wants nothing to do with. Because the Jacksonville Jaguars travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. And somehow the Las Vegas Raiders are favored in a professional football game, which I guess they're just getting home field here baked in. This is just baffling to Mo, though, however, because he is all in on Mac Jones on the road in 2024.
Yeah, what is this line? How are the Raiders favored in a pro football game, guys? I mean, I know the Jags are not very good, but...
Well, you can't make the Jags road favorites. I agree. This should just make it a pick and just figure it out.
Why not? Mac Jones is completing passes. They have Brian Thomas. They're actually moving the ball. I know this is the worst secondary in the world, but what are we worried about? Hobbled, hurt Aiden O'Connell coming in and throwing to Jacoby Myers? Like, I don't know, man. And then on the other side, you have the Raiders that just lost their all-pro pass rusher, man. The only positive thing this team had going for them on defense was that they occasionally pressured the quarterback. I mean, and you have Mac Jones, who cannot function under pressure, but now he shouldn't really be under any. I mean, why can't the Jags keep scoring in the 20s like they have been every week? Except for, I guess, when they play the Titans. But besides that, they keep scoring in the 20s. And Mac's kind of finding his stride. I mean, why can't they score 20 points here? The Raiders are the worst team in the NFL with the worst coach in the NFL. I love the Jags. They should be minus.
Brenton Strange probably made somebody $1 million last week in DFS. He's probably going to make multiple millionaires. No, nobody took him in best ball, right? The Brenton Strange wasn't a real person, right? Yeah, there's not even the most.
I'm curious now.
Yeah, Brett's going to go check the BBM DB. And as he does that, DP, I'll turn to you because you have your hometown Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I could be completely off here. I tried to pick the leverage side here, and I mean, I'm like Mo. I don't know how the Jaguars aren't minus here, but I feel like that's the general thought amongst everyone. Even though the Raiders always seem to be popular in this contest, like I don't know if it's just a Vegas bias that people just want to click them for whatever stupid reason, but I mean, if I think the Jaguars should be minus, if I think that's what a lot of people think, then leverage, don't we just click the Raiders -1.5 and hope for the best? I mean, the Jaguars can certainly throw up a stinker.
Are people going to actually put Jacksonville on their card, though? That's the thing. Yeah, Brett's shaking his head no over there. Like, I think this is just like both these teams are going to be sub 600. So whatever leverage you get is going to be minuscule. Yeah, to me, this is Jags or nothing. Something Brenton Strange and BTJ need it. I need, this is the head to head. Brock Bowers just didn't play football last week, which is great. Need BTJ to get past him in receiving to cash that plus 1650.
Didn't play football. He had Ritter throwing him the football. He'll be back this week. Bowers is back.
What'd you get there?
By the way,
did anybody click?
Yeah, 670,000 entries in Best Ball Mania. 17 had Brenton Strange.
17.
Pretty good.
What was their advancement rate? Is that my asking too much?
Two teams advanced.
Those two I hope they got to the semis because they might have the absolute ace in the hole. The last split game, it is a Shanahan Bowl, as Kyle himself travels down to Miami to take on his former offensive coordinator.
Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team.
This game is a pick'em, which the previous game probably should be. And this is one of, I think, 2 or 3 games this week where I didn't even know how to begin capping this game because of motivation, because of injuries. I was kind of at a complete loss. Mo, however, once again, had a very strong opinion. He's got the Niners in his top 5.
This is a field play. I don't have anything behind this, but every time I don't believe in the Niners, they come out and score 30. So I'm like, okay, the Niners just took an absolute dump last week in a massive spot. Now they're going on the road against a somewhat decent team. Aren't they just going to pace them? Because every time I write the Niners off, they win by 30. So they're a pick'em. I mean, in a spot where the road factor is probably mostly irrelevant. I mean, long travel, but they had extra rest as well. And also, I was looking at, so you have this Miami offense, which really struggled against that coaching tree last week. Like, really struggled. Couldn't do anything at all. So maybe this defensive coordinator, if he has been doing, his homework, is just looking at what one of his old colleagues did last week and is like, okay, we can shut down this bum offense with a bum quarterback and a terrible offensive line. But yeah, on paper, I don't know what to think about this game, but that's just my feeling, is that this is going to be Niners by 10.
I think the biggest difference is that the Texans have Derek Stingley and the Niners do not. Honestly, one of my biggest fears with the Niners is a little bit of South Beach flu here. Like getting out to Miami and enjoying themselves in a season that matters 0% to any of them, getting out of shitty, cold San Francisco and enjoying maybe a night on the town. But yeah, I've got nothing here. Brett, you've got the greatest football team smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, I don't understand what has been going on with this Miami offense. I understand Stingley. Well, first of all, why are you throwing at Derek Stingley last week? What were they doing? Like, don't force feed the ball in his direction. It just stay away. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me why this offense can't move the ball through the air like they were able to last year, the year before. I feel like there will be a get right spot, and I know the Niners aren't the best matchup, but I feel like buying them now when the offense has looked terrible. Waddle's hurt. Tyreek is off tweeting nonsense. I think this is just a spot where people are going to be hesitant to click on Miami, and we could get a little leverage in the contest.
Tyreek ready to be a coach. I will say the one angle I have on this game.
What's that tweet though? Like what did that mean? Do we know?
I think trying to decipher tweets from Tyreek Hill is very much a fool's errand. The one angle I have on this game, if you look at what happened last week with Dre Greenlaw aggravating his Achilles and then the whole Devondre Campbell thing. Devondre Campbell didn't want to play, so now they're suspending him for the rest of the season. This is a very weak rush defense from San Francisco. And we all know that Shanahan offenses, which Mike McDaniel runs, everything starts with the run game. So if this Achilles aggravation lingers, I see Dre Greenlaw practicing in a limited fashion. If he gets out there on the field again and is not feeling right and comes off, which he should in a lost season, like why risk your damn Achilles one more time? And the Niners can't stop the run. This could be a Dolphins live bet opportunity where they get out and they score first, and you might be laying a couple of points with Miami, but they might be able to just cram the ball the entire game and run their offense as expected from a short passing, run the football standpoint and have a ton of success. That's the one thing I would look for is if Miami jumps out to a quick lead, that might be indicative of the day to come and might be a live betting opportunity. Those are the split games. All right, things are about to get spicy. Time for the lone wolf. Mo absolutely crushing Lone Wolves. 3-1 last week, 15-8-2 on the season, 64% when he is on an island, and he is on 4 islands this week once again, starting in his top 5 with a double sounder game because he is laying the 6.5 points on the road with the Detroit Lions against the Chicago Bears. Brett is shaking his head over there. Mo, tell us why you are on Detroit.
Guys, this is the simplest cap in the world. Okay? I'm going to start off with Rule of Donnie. What are people talking about? Everyone's talking about the Lions' injuries and how they're done for, and how the Packers and the Eagles and the Vikings are probably ahead of them in the NFC. I mean, I'm one of them. I bet the Packers this week to win the NFC. But guys, this is the Chicago Bears. The most unprofessional, dysfunctional, embarrassing franchise this side of the New York Jets against the team that always shows up, always is ready to go, is pissed off after they just got embarrassed at home, gave up 48 points, and they're going on the road to beat the absolute bejesus out of the Bears, who fall behind by 20 in the first half every single week right now. And guess what, guys? The Lions ain't going to take their feet off the gas. Because this is the team known for running up ridiculous scores, like beating the Jaguars by 50. Another game where Mo warned you guys, and it's going to happen again right here. It's Lions alts. It's Lions minus 21.5. It's Bears packing it in for the season. And the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to run for 220 yards. How many times have we seen this Bears defense get trucked by opposing running games? And you have the best offensive line in the league coming in to flatten them.
Where was this anti-Bears take 2 weeks ago, my guy?
That was before the Bears played their third straight egg-laying game. Now I know they've quit.
Okay, Brett, lead it off. Because you have the Bears in your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, look, capping this Bears team is always difficult because Mo's right. You don't know which team you're going to get. But you are buying them here off an absolutely embarrassing loss on Monday Night Football on the road. But it was against that Flores defense. Much different cap, much different spot for Caleb Williams this week. The Detroit injuries have been made very public. Mo's right. They're at the top of every discussion. But I'm not sure it's being truly baked into this number the way it should. When you have one or two guys go down, it can often, like, starters will pick those replacements up. You still have the chemistry with all those starters on the field. When you lose as many players as the Lions have, that continuity is gone. I watched it with the Bills firsthand last season. That defense was a disaster when they lost 5-6 guys. And now you've got all these players who haven't gotten reps together all season trying to figure it out. I think this is Caleb Williams' best game of the entire season. I think this is a divisional game. You don't think Caleb Williams and this team's going to show up this week against a division rival and try to knock them out of the 1 seed? I think they will show up this week. And I think there's a decent shot the Bears just go out and win because I think they will have all the success they want against this Lions defense.
Donnie, pile on. You two have Chicago in your top 5.
I mean, Mo is just Pat statting, is he not? I mean, come on. What in Brett's past sayings, are we trying to win a contest or are we just trying to, pat our stats?
We can't win the contest. I'm trying to pick winners now, guys. We are the Cincinnati Bengals, guys. We landed in the middle. All there is left to do is play out.
Literally everyone is going to click the freaking Lions. I mean, come on. And I know.
They're gonna win by 20.
I know you brought up the whole Lions injuries thing. I think that's more big picture. Like they can't win the Super Bowl type of stuff. They might have trouble in the playoffs with these injuries. Blah 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 blah. But this week, coming off of that loss to the Bills against this Bears team, Lions are gonna have 1,400 selections for sure.
Yeah, I also just think this defense just kind of stinks. I've always thought it stunk. It never made sense to me how they were performing to the level that they were. What they were doing when Hutchinson got hurt from Mo can't see it, but Donnie's literally holding a sign that says Pat statting season. What they were doing without Hutchinson was extremely impressive. But then all these other defensive linemen are now out of it. And the one thing nobody's brought up, guys, this is Jared Goff outside, below freezing temperatures. This guy stinks in bad conditions. So, yeah, I think the move off of 7 to 6.5 is just going to get an insane amount of people happy to click on the Lions. That said, I'm certainly not rushing to the window like you guys to bet the Bears, but I get it from a leverage perspective. We'll go to a team that Mo faded in back-to-back weeks. He was correct the first week. He was incorrect the second week, and we had them on the card covering against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now they're road favorites against the Washington, formerly racial slurs, formerly football team, now Commies. 3.5-point favorites in Washington. Mo, this bubbled your top 5.
Yeah, I think the Zach Ertz injury is sneaky big here. He's been a big time. I can't believe I'm saying that, by the
Capping
way.
for 40-year-old tight ends.
I know, but like he's such a security blanket for Jaden Daniels. He targets him frequently, and without him, I don't know who's beating this Eagles secondary on this team. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to be in a tough spot here, man. A bad offensive line. Sam Cosme is hurt. Man, I just think everything is looking like it's against Washington in this spot to me. And I don't trust this defense. I haven't all year. So I think the Eagles can move the ball. And then, like I said, missing Ertz in a spot where I don't think the running game is going to do that much. You have a running quarterback, which the Eagles are very well prepared for. They did a great job against Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels the last time they played him. They did not let them get loose at all until Lamar ripped off a 40-yard run with the game being already over on a meaningless final drive. So I just don't know where the offense is coming from Washington. I mean, Terry McLaurin is like the only guy I'm remotely worried about beating this Eagles defense right now.
I was waiting. I was waiting for you to say Scary Terry's name. It was very disrespectful the way you started this.
They just bracket him. They got plenty of bodies. I mean, who else is going to do something here, man? Someone else is going to have to step up.
Our
and
guy,
I don't know who it's going to.
Zacchaeus.
Zaki Olamide.
Probably not him.
Mo can't even respond. Capping for Olamide is worse than capping
I'm not
for
dignifying
Zach.
that with a response. Yeah.
Luke McCaffrey. Why can't he be the exciting white instead of Zach Ertz? Once again, Brett and Donnie are on the other side. Once again, they both have it in their top 5. This time, DP a tick higher.
I mean, leverage. What? Everything Mo said is true. I have 2 notes written down for this game. I wrote 1 is leverage, 2 weird NFC East shit is the second one. Okay, because this weird NFC East stuff happens in these games, and somehow they end up way closer than they should be.
You're gonna make a ODB. He's gonna drive if he hasn't driven off the road after punting a 2 million chip stack. He's gonna drive off the road after all the times that DP said leverage so far. Brett, pile on with.
What? ODB doesn't like leverage?
Why are people lining up to lay it with the Eagles right now? Washington's playing some decent ball. I mean,
haven't they won like 95 games in a row or something ridiculous?
They've won. What was it? 7 straight? 71% of the tickets are on Philly. Go ahead, Minotti.
Yeah, I don't really understand the hook here. And this is coming from someone who has hated on the Commanders this entire season. Obviously, the Saquon injury, whatever it is, matters. But the A.J. Brown injury, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? That's the big concern for me here. So I think as we learn more on Friday, we'll have more information to go into with the weekend. But if there's no Brown, or if he's hobbled or unable to run routes and do the things after the catch that make him so valuable, this Eagles offense is without its most important piece. Everybody talks about Saquon, but if there's no A.J. Brown taking the attention away from that run game, teams can adjust the way they attack this offense. And we know Hurts isn't good enough to punish NFL teams. I don't care how bad this Commanders defense is. This is a massive game for both teams, but I think because the Commies haven't been in a playoff position this late in the season in a while, that place is going to be insane on Sunday. This is a great spot for them to send a message. I'm not saying Washington's going to win, but I do think this is going to be a close game enough to where this should just be 3.
Yeah, all the Saquon stuff. Kenneth Gainwell generated more EPA both on the ground and in the air last week than Saquon Barkley.
You should tweet that out.
A.J. Brown.
You should tweet that. It'd be a great follow-up to your Lamar stuff.
The Ravens. I don't know. The entire Ravens fan base. The entire Ravens fan base came after me.
Well, if you think they're bad, you should see the Eagles fan base. They might actually come to your house.
I literally tweeted a fact about Josh Allen, and I've never had more engagement on a tweet in my entire life. Fascinating stuff. Moving down, Mo's Lone Wolves. He's laying it with Anthony Richardson and the trick play master, Shane Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts, are minus 3.5 against Brett's Tennessee Titans.
Well, I have to admit, I may have to change this one. Maybe this is a fair line. I did not realize Mason Rudolph was starting at this game. And then, I've said all year, I've maintained all year that I think he's an upgrade on Will Levis. So I had this one at Colts -5. So if I think he's an upgrade, then that probably means this should be Colts -3.5 or 4. So maybe this is just a fair line. That being said, this is another one where a lot of injuries that I don't know what to do with because it's only the Wednesday report that I was looking at. Tavondre Sweat has been a monster for them, and I am seriously concerned about that defense if he doesn't play. I don't know what I would do if I was Tennessee. I mean, you want these guys to develop, but also, what is the point of playing them in a dead season? So it's kind of a weird situation for the coaching staff. I don't have too much on this one. I guess I do think the Colts should be 3 or slightly higher, but would I actually bet money on them? No, I don't think so. We've talked all year about the floor with this Colts offense. You want them as dogs. You want alt lines. You don't want to bet these standard 3.5 lines or whatever it is. So I'm not that interested in this one really.
Yeah, I've got the Titans in my top 5. I went Minotti here. I think the switch of quarterback is huge in a game like this with a total of 42 with the arrow pointing down, because when you have the dog in this spot, you don't want to introduce the amount of variance that Will Levis does, right? There are certain spots where Tennessee's +7. That's when you want Will Levis in there, chucking it around. Bad things might happen, but good things might happen as well. But in a game like this, with a team that likes to run the ball with their quarterback and the running back, there's going to be fewer possessions, shorter time spans, total of 42.5. You want to introduce less variance, and I think Mason Rudolph does that. And I just cannot stomach laying points with bad teams. I can't stomach laying more than a field goal with a bad team. And Anthony Richardson on the other side is the variance monster. He could just hand Tennessee multiple points like he did last week against the Denver Broncos. I don't have it. I don't have it in me to lay points with Indianapolis, let alone more than a field goal. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, speaking of I don't have it in me, I couldn't bring myself to do it again. I have just been beaten down by this Titans team every single week. It probably is, and I might change my mind as we get closer to Saturday. But yeah, this is, you don't lay this many points with AR-15 because of the high variance that you get with him. The Titans, man, it's just really frustrating because I do believe this defense is solid, and everybody is playing their ass off. I loved Callahan's comments this week about his team being soft, and I believe him. These guys get up and play. They are a tough football team, but the turnovers have killed them week after week, and then they just can't find a way to get back in these games. I don't know. I'm really beaten down by Tennessee this year.
I don't know what's more insane. That the Titans forced 4 turnovers and lost a football game last week, or that they turned the ball over 6 times, and only lost by 10. Which one's crazier? Because they're both mind-blowing to me. Especially against an offense as good as Cincinnati. If you turn the ball over 6 times, you should be losing by 3 touchdowns. And yet, they scrapped and they turned the ball over themselves. And they had there was a second there at the end where it was can the Titans somehow sneak through the back door anyway? Obviously, they didn't, but there was an opportunity there. So yeah, I think scrappy squad can't lay the points with Indy. Another double-digit favorite. This time it's the Packers laying 14.5. They gave them the hook in the contest. Mo, this is one of your last selections. We were laying the wood with Green Bay.
Yeah, this is one that's just similar to the Bills game to me. It's just, do they feel like covering this? I mean, I don't know why the Bills can't win by 17+. They score 40 every week, whatever. That's just going to be a cakewalk against the Patriots. They could probably score handing off. And the Packers can probably do the same. I mean, they have Josh Jacobs, even their backup running backs have done decent work at times this year. And you have a New Orleans Saints team that has absolutely nothing left on offense. They lost their Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. They lost their receivers. They lost Alvin Kamara now. I mean, what is left? And the Packers are just a well-oiled machine, man. They just go out there and they just move the football immediately every game. I mean, what they did to Seattle was pretty eye-opening. I mean, that was one of the most workmanlike, efficient performance. It did not matter what they did, if they ran, if they passed. Everything worked against Seattle, and that's a similar level of defense to this New Orleans outfit. So I don't know why the Packers can't go out there and do whatever they want, and then you have an awful, awful, awful quarterback on the road outside. Yikes.
Something Ritter. Right? They're going to Ritter. They have to, right? They benched Hainer last week. It's going to be Ritter, right?
Rattler.
Oh,
yeah, Rattler. Wrong team.
Did I just combine Desmond Ritter and that's a Rattler?
I mean, it might as well. It might as Ritter, Rattler. Who the hell cares?
Boom! Brett, you've got the highest opinion on New Orleans. Get us out of this game quickly.
I have nothing to say. How do I have the highest opinion? I don't have any notes on this game. Who wants to touch this game?
There it is. We move to Donnie, who is laying the 8.5 points with Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons against the New York Giants.
I mean, in my opinion, there is no way that Penix is worse than what we've seen from Kirk Cousins. So this has to be an upgraded quarterback and allow this offense to open things up a bit. And this Giants defense is horrendous. They're just so bad. I mean, why can't the Falcons just win by, I don't know, name the score against this stupid team that is the New York Giants? And I'm not really sure what's going to happen here with leverage, so I'm not too concerned with laying the 8.5 here and being on the popular side. I think it's going to be, I don't know, close-ish to 50-50 here. I think partly it's a biggish number. I think people don't really know what to do with Penix, getting in there. So yeah, I'm happy to lay the 8.5 here.
This is the easiest cap of the week. This is 2022 Niners at Bears all over again. Trey Lance, big favorite, on the road, exciting stuff. You just cannot in any way, shape, or form lay 8.5 points with Michael Penix in this spot. There's a non-zero chance that this guy is bad. There's a non-zero chance that this guy doesn't meet the threshold to play quarterback in professional football. And for him to step on the field mid-season and be more than a touchdown favorite against at least a serviceable defense, very much a serviceable pass rush, is absolutely embarrassing. And the Giants, if I'm Dayball, the entire week, I'm just saying that this kid has never played a snap and they think he's going to beat you into oblivion. Okay? That's how disrespectful this line is. I love the Giants.
What was the look ahead number on this?
The look ahead in this game was 9. It's 10 on a very influential offshore book still today. Mo, where are you at? Isn't this Trey Lance 2022?
I don't know what this is. How can anyone have any confidence? Unless you had a polar opinion on Michael Penix in draft season, how can you have an ounce of confidence either way? So I just defaulted to taking the points because I don't know what the hell this game is going to look like. I mean, we know Tim Boyle doesn't meet the threshold, guys. We know that.
Something Boyle. But at least he has neighbors. And he knows to spam the neighbors button. When he went in, he was just like, where's one? I'm throwing the ball to one and hoping that he makes a play. Okay, I've got one lone wolf. And I'm pissed at you guys. I'm legitimately pissed at you. Because talk about meeting the threshold. I've got Bengals minus 7.5. We know for a fact that DTR does not meet the threshold to play quarterback in this league. So why does this number only move 1.5 points? I understand that it's to and through a key number of 7. And I understand the variance that Jameis brings and how bad he can be. But DTR doesn't even have that upside. He is just an awful, awful player. He is Zach Wilson level bad at quarterback. And we know that the Bengals are going to go out and be able to score points. They do it every single week, no matter what the competition is. So how do the Cleveland Browns sniff 20 points in this game? Somebody has to explain it to me. And you can put the stupid sign up. You can put the stupid sign up, Donnie. Somebody.
Yeah, that's what you're doing here for sure.
Somebody. All of you idiots have the Browns in your top 5. All of you idiots.
Everyone can score on the Bengals. But Dallas went out there and scored
Thompson Robinson. You think Dorian Thompson Robinson is just going to step on an NFL field and get to 20 points?
Well, he's also going to score less points for the other team. I mean, Jameis, he just hands 10 points plus to the other team. You're not going to get that with DTR, probably. They're just going to run the football. Reduce the variance, keep this within 1 score. And the other thing here, too, isn't everybody going to click Burrow here against DTR? Isn't everybody in the contest going to pick the Bengals?
Well, they didn't put a 10. They didn't put a 10 next to Cincinnati. So, yes, everyone is going to click Cincinnati.
Okay, so you can't click the free space.
Unless we're Pat Static.
They wreck Burrow every time. Isn't this a thing? It has to be by now.
Okay, so let me just go. Dorian Thompson Robinson has 3 starts in his NFL career. Okay? In those 3 starts, the Cleveland Browns scored 3 points. They scored 13 points. And they scored 12 points.
They didn't have Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy! Back from the dead! Had Amari, though, your other boy. All right, have fun, guys. Have fun with Dorian. I can't believe it. You're holding the sign. You haven't said a damn thing.
This is going to be the max leverage spot of the week. What are you talking about? I don't need to hold the damn sign. There's going to be 1,000. It's going to be 1,000 difference in picks between who's on the Bengals and who's on the Browns.
Because they hung the worst line of the year. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Contest play, contest play, contest play.
Yeah. ODB's off the road again. All right, the Lone Wolves. I've got the Bengals. Donnie's got the Falcons. Mo has the Packers, Colts, Eagles, and Lions. We've got a couple minutes. Let's see if we can go quick on the card.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Okay, we actually have an interesting spot here because Brett's top pick, I'm going out of order, but I'm trying to set this up in case we want to just fire the card real quick. We've got 10 minutes. Brett's top pick was sniped by Mo, who picked the other side. Brett's second pick was sniped by Donnie. Brett's third pick was sniped by The Collective. So we're all the way down to Brett's fourth pick. So the question to Brett is, do you want Commanders plus 3.5, or would you like to fire Thursday Night Football? That's what this comes down to.
Oh, wow. I think I would stay with Commanders.
Okay. Then we will move forward.
I don't have enough conviction on Broncos to get the card in now and not have some time before Saturday.
All right. Well, let's keep it with you then. Commies, your last stump on Washington.
My last stump. I think... I mean...
Come on, fire up the troops. Get Jaden Daniels ready to win a damn football game.
I wasn't expecting this to be on my card, to be honest. It's hard for me to get fired up for this one, but yeah, I I think there's too much going against the Eagles here in this game. But this is also one. It's tough because we don't know what's going on with AJ Brown or Saquon yet either. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. How strong do you guys feel about Broncos?
I think this goes back to Mo in preseason. When the Chargers are favorites, click against them. When the Chargers are dogs, click the other side. Or click them.
I'm also concerned about Herbert not being 100% against a legitimate pass rush.
Yep.
I don't understand how
as well.
They could have been -3. That was crazy to me. I just took the money line here. But yeah, I mean, the Broncos can get stops, and I think ODB might be right, man, when he just says maybe the Chargers just stink. Like, they've been stinking up the joint weekly for like multiple weeks now.
DP, you got that app pulled up?
Woo! All right. Well, then I'll just here. So we're gonna speed run through this. So I've got the Giants because Michael Penix -8.5 is idiotic.
Yep.
Okay. Mo has a lone wolf. Mo, who's your lone wolf?
I'm having my fun with the Lions. When nobody in the world thinks this defense is worth a shit, they're going to come out and get stops. And you know why they're going to get stops? Because the Bears will stop themselves, guys. It doesn't matter who is on the other team.
All right.
What are we doing here?
Donnie has my least favorite pick of the year.
Yeah, the Browns. DTR all day. Come on.
DTR on the card. Brett Scott sounds like the Broncos, and then we'll slam the collective pick, which Brett's going to love this sounder.
The collective chooses the best QB from the 2023 draft, Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers plus 4.5 home dogs against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray with the absolute funniest quote this week. Confident. I've played in the cold before. Someone says it's going to be below 30 and he goes, ah, shit. Incredible stuff. So we got the Panthers on the card. This was your top pick, DP. Fire it. Fire away.
Well, tell me what it is again so I can confirm.
Panthers, Giants, Lions, Browns, Broncos.
Okay, I'm going to press the button.
Bryce Young, Tim Boyle, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Bo Nix, and Jared Goff outside in below freezing temperatures. A collective stink bomb.
All right, we're in there.
We're in there. DP, you had the Panthers as your number one selection. It made everybody's top 5 except for Mo. Talk about it, DP.
I mean, the Cardinals are 4.5-point public road favorites. I mean, what in the universe is happening? I said it. Can't remember if it was last week or the podcast before, but this isn't the Panthers from, weeks 1 through 6. I can't remember exactly when they started to, kind of turn things around. But the Panthers are frisky every week now. Bryce is playing much better. They're moving the ball. Like it looks like the coaching staff has turned things around with some better decisions. On the other side, Arizona's offense looks iffy. I think if you just saw the score from last week specifically against the Patriots, you'd be like, oh yeah, they did whatever they wanted. I don't know. They didn't look that good. Okay. I don't think they looked that good. And I watched that game. I think Bryce Young can continue to play all right and move the ball against this Arizona defense and keep this one close. If not, just win the game outright. Money bet line. I mean, this is a great spot for the Panthers. Come on.
Mo, you're the lowest on Carolina. What are your worries here?
Yeah, it is a good spot for the Panthers in the sense of okay, you have a West Coast team traveling against a bad team that just took a dump last week. They're probably going to play better. And I do agree with what Donnie was saying about, man, that was so frustrating, that Cardinals performance. That game should have been much closer than it was. They got extremely lucky at multiple points. New England doesn't score on the 3, whatever it was. They fumbled for 6. I mean, that was just so infuriating that ball, like, we see every week athletic defenders struggling to pick up a bouncing ball, and a lumbering lineman just falls on it perfectly with a foot of space in the back of the end zone. I mean, well done, but, like, man, that was annoying to watch. Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals looked as good as the score last week, but I just wonder if the market is honestly kind of still believing in the Panthers a little bit when they put a number like this out there, where, like, a month ago, this would have been Cardinals -7. We're seeing a 4.5. I do think Bryce Young played better as well than the score indicated last week. Even though I was all over the Cowboys, I actually thought he made some decent throws, but they just got buried behind, just everything went wrong, and just one of those games, whatever. I just wonder, like I said, the market does still seem to be giving the Panthers a little bit of credit here. I think this line is pretty close to being fair, and there's a lot of injuries again on this Panthers defense that is already a disaster. So, yeah, I could see this one getting out of hand, but I do suspect the Panthers are the right side.
Knowing from Carolina's perspective that they get Jalen Coker back from his multi-week injury, and as soon as they do, Xavier Legette then suffers the hip injury. So as soon as they get to full strength as an offensive unit, they lose Legette. He's definitely trending towards not playing. They've already given him the doubtful status, but this goes back to what I was talking about a couple weeks ago when it comes to motivation and Canales and the Panthers building towards something where the Cardinals, the wheels have fully fallen off. You're absolutely right. The Patriots outgained them on a down-to-down basis last week, and I could see this in cold temperatures on the road on the East Coast with the season over, where maybe we can get some 1-2-3 Cancun out of the Cardinals. All right, there are a trio of consensus picks that did not make the card, starting with the Baltimore Ravens laying 6 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This made my top 5. It made Mo's top 5. The weather here is very interesting to me because we are seeing some projected winds, sustained winds at 14 miles an hour, 37 degrees. We saw it last week, and we saw it the week prior as well. This Pittsburgh offense on a yards per play basis was in the 4s without their moonball expert, George Pickens, who is trending towards missing this game. He's already out, He's been given the out designation, 3 DNPs with the hamstring. So what is the plan on offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Meanwhile, we've kind of seen last week, and especially with this TJ Watt injury, if he goes, he's going to play extremely injured, that you can run with success against Pittsburgh, and you can kind of take the air out of the ball when it comes to their pass rush by just running at them and making them work. And Baltimore can definitely have success with that. And if the Ravens are able to establish a lead and extend the lead, I don't know how this Pittsburgh offense is built to catch up with them. Mo, you're with me on Baltimore laying the points here.
Yeah, I need your guys' love and support right now because I want to bet the Ravens just like I did last time. And every time I bet on Lamar Jackson, he walks out into the middle of the field and shits down his own legs. It happens every time. And every time I try to lay any points with the Ravens against the Steelers, they take a dump. And I just am sick of it, but I'm looking at this number and I just think it should be above 7. You guys nailed this game last week. Everything you guys said came true about the Eagles, and this offense is completely non-functional without George Pickens. They cannot move the ball when the plan is dump offs to Jalen Warren and short passes to Pat Freiermuth. I don't know why on paper this should be a close game, but every time I think that, there's going to be a muffed punt, and there's going to be Lamar fumbling.
I was going to say, you know why. You know.
Every stupid thing is going to happen.
Stirring the cauldron,
I know it's going to happen. So I'm like terrified to bet the Ravens, but I think this line should be like 8.
Brett, I'm sorry. You too have the Ravens in your top 5.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I agree with Mo. Everything is pointing to the Ravens here. The Steelers are already an average football team when you take away Watt and Pickens. Arguably, they're two most important players given the way they play football. I don't know what this team is anymore. And I know Tomlin and the Steelers have played Baltimore well, and Lamar's numbers are dog shit against Pittsburgh. But at some point, you just have to look at these rosters and say, like, this has to be 7. This has to be 7. Given what we saw out of the Steelers last week and the way the Ravens should be able to exploit the Steelers' defense this week.
Okay, we all did it again. We're all taking the points at home with Seattle. Deja vu as they play host to an NFC North team. This time it is the Minnesota Vikings. Mo, you have the highest opinion on this game, but like everybody else, you couldn't get this into your top 5. It bubbled your top 5.
Because I don't know what's going on here with Geno Smith. He looked like he wasn't going to be able to walk for a month. And now they're saying he's a full participant in practice. And this is a situation where there's no margin for error for this Seattle offense. We saw that last week. You cannot go from Geno Smith to any backup in the world, probably, because of everything he's doing to mitigate a horrific offensive line. So it's even worse when you put the person with the worst pocket presence who wants to hold the ball the longest of any quarterback we've ever seen back there. That's the most combustible combination literally possible in pro football, I think. So if Geno isn't 100%, or if he's not even 75%, I just don't know how they can function against a Brian Flores blitz packages coming after this offensive line. But then again, if Geno is fine, then how can the Seahawks be getting 3 here?
This is a big test for the quarterback on the other side as well, because the Minnesota Vikings' last road game at Bears was a balmy 50 degrees in Chicago. When they played at Green Bay earlier in the season, it was a nice, sunny 70 degrees. So the Southern California kid who's been playing in domes and playing in sunshine and playing in nice weather had absolutely no problem. Now we're looking at a game where it's going to be in the 40s, 98% chance of rain, could be some Pacific Northwest slop. So this perfect executing KOC offense where Sam Darnold has been able to be plopped in and just run the offense is going to get tested by a Mike McDonald unit and by the elements. So I think it's going to be a much tougher sledding for this offense than it is when they're in the cozy confines of the dome in Minnesota. But once again, terrified of the Seahawks offense that has been just absolutely piss poor. And that is even before the Geno Smith injury.
I need them to score 50 points this week.
Let's go, best ball. All the shares.
Oh my God.
I'm on the opposite. I have a bunch of Vikings. I've got my really one live lineup in one of the tournaments has a Packers Vikings Week 17 stack. So I need all Packers and all Vikings to go off.
This sounds very collective 2024, that the game that both of you guys have stacks for best ball in the crunch time is going to have a monsoon.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great about it.
And the last consensus pick that did not make the card. I have an admission to make, you guys. I am deathly afraid of watching this Netflix doc because I am so afraid of falling for it again. Everything in my functioning brain tells me that the Jaguars are the worst passing defense in the league, 32nd by a country mile. Negative 0.275 EPA per dropback for the season. It is just, to put that into perspective, I've said this a couple of times, that's like every week prime Peyton Manning just stepping onto the field and playing football. I get it. But it's a couple of weeks in a row now. And if you look at that Seattle game, minus the obviously horrific pick six to Leo Williams, They move the ball very comfortably. Everything says the Achilles injury is really an 18-month injury. So we're entering into those 17th and 18th months now. He ran for 40 yards last week. Like, he looked like an athlete out there. And this is kind of a completely irrelevant game for the Rams, playing an AFC team when they have 2 division games coming up in weeks 17 and 18, which are ultimately going to decide their fate. So what if this idiot Rodgers just continues to tank all draft equity for the Jets, put up monster performances, throwing to his guy Devontae, who looked like he was 27 years old again last week, and the Jets just go out and win this stupid game outright? What if all that happens? This bubbled my card. I wanted to pull the trigger, but I just couldn't do it. It didn't make anybody's top 5. Who was the next highest? It was you, DP. Next highest on the Jet.
I mean, it could happen. Everything that you said can happen. Rodgers can, I guess, screw up your dream, like what you want. I mean, the guy's a pill, okay, first of all. Let's just get that off our chest here. I mean, you're going to like the doc, okay? I've heard from multiple people who have watched it that have said that they have watched it and they want to now hang out with Aaron Rodgers. And guess what, guys? Everyone out there, that's exactly what the doc is supposed to do, okay? So good job falling for that one. Everyone's going to be on the Rams? Are the Rams the hottest team right now? Like, people are like, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Because, like, who's going to come out of the NFC? Well, let's just back Stafford, McVay, Puka. Like, let's go.
I will say, I have no idea how the Jets get a single stop in this game. That's the problem. And that's why I think Jets money line is probably the play here. Because this total feels like it's 5 points short. Shouldn't this total be in the 50s? Like, I understand it's going to be cold, but if the Jets offense continues to operate as it has been, and the Jets defense continues to play as poorly as it has been, I don't know how they get. Like, if Brenton Strange is out here shredding your defense, what are Puka and Cooper Kupp going to do?
But it's bum Stafford in cold weather outdoors. He stinks outside of the dome.
I hope not.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, my concern is that the Jets' offense, which has looked good recently, is just that's not real. I mean, they played some really
very
crappy
well could
teams.
be.
Like
if you
lately.
zoom out, if you zoom out on the season, for the most part, this team has been absolute dog shit on offense. So if they were to revert back to that, not playing the worst team in the league, you would get zero surprise out of me. I think, look, from a fan's perspective, I think best case scenario, just beat us 31-10. Rodgers stinks. We can just get over this. Pull the plug. Clean break. New GM, new head coach, new quarterback. Hell, let Tyrod play next year. Bring in some project to be behind Tyrod and do a complete reset. Because this quarterback class stinks. I mean, I guess you could sell me on throwing a literal dart at Jackson Dart on day 2. But
you mean you don't want Sam Darnold back?
He would never come back. I don't think. Why wouldn't the Vikings just re-sign him anyway? Just give him the Daniel Jones contract.
You want JJ?
That's where it becomes interesting. Like, would you guys trade the 12th pick for JJ McCarthy?
I don't think JJ McCarthy is good.
Yeah,
I don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
We didn't think he was good coming out. We thought he was overdrafted as is.
But that's the issue with both Sam and JJ McCarthy is if a non-Vikings team signs Sam or trades for JJ McCarthy, you're not trading for KOC too. I hope you know that. Yeah. You're not getting the brains of the operation. You're just getting the person that's throwing the football. Let's go Broncos. Broncos just absolutely marched down the field and scored a touchdown. Let's go.
How did they score? I'm behind.
Estime. Something. Audric.
Got vulched.
Estime. All right. That's the pod. Card is in. Broncos up 7-0. Hopefully, by the time you listen to this, we're already 1-0. And absolutely need 5-0. We can finish above 500 still. That is mathematically possible.
Wow. Tremendous season. That's what we're going for.
Honestly, 500 seems impossible the way the season has gone. That would be amazing if we hit 500.
I feel it. Mo, drive safe. Where are you now? Are you still in? Did we make it out of Wyoming?
Definitely not. Long way to go. If any of the listeners wants to call me and offer me the sofa in your living room, let me know. I'm driving through Wyoming. Do we have any Wyoming listeners?
At Mo Nuwara on Twitter. NUWWARAH. Some kind of background check is necessary. Okay, I don't want Mo going into some serial killer's house. Do we need some vetting? Yes. If there's any couches available, my guy will take it. Follow the other two at Brett Colson, COLLSON, and at Donnie_Peters. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. We will see you. No idea next week, by the way, with Christmas. We'll figure it out. Peace.